Hello and welcome to SureenaSpeaks, and in this video I want to talk about failing, especially in light of the June pre-reg 2019 results having been released, and even more specifically for those who this was their first or second attempt at an exam. I have done a video on those who are sitting their final attempt, so if you're in that position, please have a look at this video. But for those who may have failed the first or second time of sitting your pre-reg exam, this video is for you. Now, there's been a lot of articles at the moment that have been out about the results that have just been released, the June 2019 ones, because they were the lowest thus far, for June this is. Now, I wanted to do my own analysis, so I've been looking from 2016 up until this point, the part 1 and part 2 results, and the overall results of percentage of how many people passed. Why am I looking from 2016? Well, 2016 was the year when the whole exam structure and style changed, so I thought it was a good place to start from. Now, I can't find what the individual pass marks were for part 1 and part 2, but as mentioned, looking at purely the pass rates for June from 2016 till now, this year was the lowest. Interestingly though, for the pass marks that are available from 2017 up until this point, if you look at the individual pass mark you had to achieve to pass part 1 and to achieve pass 2, this year was the highest. It was the highest marks that you had to achieve. Again, I'm just looking at June. But interestingly, the year when you had to achieve the highest in part 1 and part 2 was the year that the lowest amount of people had passed the pre-reg exam. Quite an interesting observation, and make of that what you will. Now, failing any exam in any context is a horrible feeling, and if you did fail this exam and you're feeling pretty rubbish about it, that's completely understandable. You're human, you're allowed to feel that way. And I've seen students this year who had worked so hard and put so much effort into the exam, and they didn't get the results that they needed, and they didn't get the result that they really did deserve. Because I saw that effort that they had put in, which is why I completely and utterly don't believe that a result defines you, because it really doesn't. Your perseverance, your dedication, and probably more importantly, your attitude, that's what defines you. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, I failed the exam, I don't know what to do, you kind of have one of two options. The first option is to actually think to yourself, you know what, I don't want to go through this process again. I don't want to sit that exam again. And you know what, if you feel that way, that's completely up to you. You need to do what feels right for you and what you feel comfortable for doing. And you may be thinking, actually, with my MPharm degree, there's so many more options. There's so many options that I can do. There's so many doors and avenues that could lead me to that actually I don't want to go through this again. And like I said, if you want to do that, you're completely entitled to. People can give their advice, they can give their opinions, but at the end of the day, you have to do what you feel comfortable with. The second option is to actually think, you know what, I've had a hard year. This result has been quite heartbreaking, feeling pretty rubbish about it, so I might as well try and get something out of it. And then use that to motivate you to then actually try and smash that exam, that next exam that you do sit. But that has to come from you, that has to come from inside, that burning desire to light that fire inside of you to actually think, you know what, I do want to try this again. And confidence goes such a long way. If you feel confident in your own abilities and your own skills, that can really take you far. And you might be thinking, but how can I feel confident? Because failing an exam does knock your confidence. But put it into perspective. You are not in the same position that you were 12 months ago. Think of it like a cake. I mean, I will use any excuse to find an analogy where you can use some kind of dessert. Let's go with a cake. 12 months ago, or however many months ago it was when you started your pre-reg, you were given a bunch of ingredients, you were given a bunch of tools, and if you're anything like me who doesn't really know how to cook and most certainly doesn't know how to bake, you're probably thinking, what on earth am I meant to do with all this? I've got eggs, I've got flour, I don't know what I'm doing. Fast forward 12 months, and actually, you can utilize those tools and those skills, and you can probably actually make a good sponge right now. in the same respect, 12 months ago, or however many months ago it was, you may not have had those, you would have been given those tools, but you wouldn't have known how to use them. Those ways of counselling, those ways of processing a prescription, all those little things you may have not really felt comfortable or know how to do. But fast forward all those months now, and actually you can use those skills. You can utilise those tools. And now it's about actually how to really, you've got that foundation, how can you now add on top of that? So you've got your cake, how do you put some icing on top, or some buttercream, some fruit, whatever kind of cake you fancy? You've got that foundation, you've got that basis. What do you have to do now to take it to that next level? That's what I'm trying to get at. And so it's about time reflecting. Think about, if you do want to sit the exam again, think about which areas and aspects did you not feel very comfortable with? Maybe be honest with yourself. Were you comfortable with those topics before you even went into the exam? Or were you still a bit shaky on them? When you sat the exam, did you think to yourself, oh, actually, I really don't know how to answer this question? Really think back to what those topics were. But at the same time, do also look at those areas where you did feel really confident in and think, yep, I know that was the answer. What topics were those? Because at the end of the day, yes, you want to focus your energy into those areas where you didn't get right, but you don't want to neglect those areas where you did really well in. Say, for example, you felt really confident with calculations. Don't think now, actually, no, I'm going to leave calculations. Still do a few calculations each day to keep on top of that knowledge, whilst predominantly focusing on those weak areas that you have. Another thing to think about is, if you are going to be sitting the exam again, you actually know what the setup of the day is. You have insight into what it's going to be like because you've already done it. And so that in itself alleviates some anxiety from the actual structure of the day itself. Even the exam, of course the exam questions are going to be different, but at least the types and styles of questions you have that insight into and you'll be a bit more familiar with. So if anything, treat everything that you've done already as a mock exam, and actually this next exam that you're going to sit, that's going to be the real exam. You had a great mock exam because you know exactly what you're going to do, you know exactly what the setup of the day is, you know which areas it is that you need to focus on and which areas that you're confident in. It was a good mock exam, but now you need to set yourself up for the real one. If you change your mindset and thinking in that way, it will hopefully give you that inside confidence to actually think, you know what, I can actually do this because I genuinely really believe that you can. We really don't give ourselves enough credit. A lot of people that I've spoken to, they've missed out by maybe 1 mark, 2 marks, a few marks here and there. And so we fixate on those ones, those few little marks that we need to get to pass, and we forget about all the stuff that we got right. All those 70, 80, however many questions it was that you got right. You did really well. It's just because you didn't get those few marks. You're kicking yourself. And that's normal to feel that way. If I was in your position, I'd feel the exact same way. But again, it's perspective. You know a lot of knowledge. And that's what I was trying to say about the foundation. You've got a good foundation of knowledge. So try not to beat yourself too much about it and actually credit yourself for what you do know. It's very easy to put ourselves down, but in a situation like this, you need to find that way to build yourself back up. If you need any advice or support, you know where I am. So do feel free to message me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, on this channel, wherever it is, because you're not in this alone. Whichever route you decide to take, whether that be the first option or the second option, I hope you decide to do what feels right for you, what you feel confident and comfortable in doing. Like I said, people can give you all sorts of advice, but it has to come from within you. And it has to be a decision that you feel is right for you, whatever decision that may be. So I hope you found this useful, and if you did, why not give it a thumbs up? Share, like, subscribe. As mentioned before, please do visit my Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And until next time, very best of luck with your revision and happy revising.